all know what to do if this gets cut off accidentally. So I already have my foundation on, and I prepped my skin. I'm just going to show you the products really quickly. I prepped my skin with a combination of Pink Light Strobe Cream and Prep and Prime Natural Radiance. And I mixed them together and I applied them to my skin. And then in a few spots where I know I get really shiny, which is sort of in here in the eyebrow, because sometimes I get moisturizer or serum in my eyebrow hair, and it's really hard to get that matte. And also just here in the nasal labia fold, which is just the creases of your nose, I use just a little teeny tiny bit of the Skin Refine Zone. And this is a beautiful product for oil control. So I tend to be more dry, and that is why I can get away with using products like Strobe Cream and Natural Radiance. Even though they're good for all skin types, I also use a lot of moisturizer and things like that. So there are certain times where you need a little anti-shine, and this is a way to set the intention of your makeup without being powdery and without having to feel like you've got a million layers on. So that's how I prepped my skin. And then I went in with just a little bit, and I'm sorry, I love this product, obviously. This is a Pro Longwear Concealer. Now, I love to use this product as foundation. And a lot of people get kind of nervous about using a concealer as foundation. But honestly, the products, for the most part, are generally the same. It's just the concealer usually comes in a smaller bottle because you're using it to conceal things. It's not usually what you're using all over your whole face. And oftentimes they have a little bit more coverage. And so for me, I love that, especially with the 170 brush, because I have the power as a makeup artist and someone who likes to mix things to dilute it or get it to the texture or the intensity or opacity, is how we like to talk about foundation, that I want. So I feel like it looks pretty natural. Now you'll notice that I have a lot of hyperpigmentation on my chest. I fortunately don't have a lot on my face, but when you do your makeup and it looks really beautiful here and then you can see the chest, sometimes it's good to take just a little bit and just dust it across here. Now, you know, again, this is the 170 brush. I just want to take it down a notch. This is a Pro Longwear product, so it does have a long wear and it is water resistant. We do make other foundations that are waterproof and are transfer resistant. And they will work really well too if you need to do some body makeup. But I just want to take down that redness a little bit so it doesn't look like my head is floating off of my body. Okay, let's get started. So I am going to prep my eyes with the 24-hour eye base. This is a product that I use pretty much every day. I am a glasses wearer. And also, I think over time, you know, your skin doesn't hold makeup in the same way that for me it once used to. So even though I have a very light covering of concealer on my eyelids, I still think it's important to prep with something like this. And it's funny that Michelle is actually moderating for me today, because we call this the 24-hour eye cement, because once you put it on, your makeup really cements into place and it really seals in your eyeshadow and helps to keep everything locked into place. Now you'll notice that I'm applying this with my fingertip, and that the reason why I use my fingers a lot for priming products is because I want to make sure that the entire surface area is covered evenly, especially when you're dealing with eyeshadow, because I don't want any skipping and I don't want any places where you can see what's happening underneath. Like if you don't gesso the whole canvas, you're going to see the difference when you put paint on top. Same concept when you're dealing with makeup. So I'm just going to pick up a little tiny bit more. You can see I hardly even have any on my finger. I find underneath my eye is a place that I really need this product because of my glasses. Whatever I wear under my eye tends to move and migrate. So just a little bit under my eye, and you can see it's transparent, it's see-through. I'm going to warn you guys now, my cat is in rare form today and he is right behind my computer, so he may make an appearance. I apologize now. I'm also going to go ahead, and he's wearing a pink bow tie though in honor of the pink thing happening today. Oh, hi Dad. Oh my goodness. My parents are here as always. Hi Mom and Dad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and curl up my eyelashes. So I'm just going to come in and grab them all. I like to do this early in the process because I have naturally curly hair, as you can tell. So my eyelashes actually hold a curl really well, and sometimes they're just a little too curly. So it gives them a few seconds to relax. Now, if you are someone with very straight eyelashes, you want to do this right before you put mascara on. But you can see how well these curled. And I'll just, I I love you guys too. You can see like I just separate the lashes a little bit with my fingertips. Okay, so I'm going to go in with Fascinating Eye Kohl. This is a white pencil, and I really want these pinks that I'm going to use to pop. You know, it's funny, pink is just a flattering color on pretty much everyone. It really warms up the skin. It's very delicate. It's very feminine and obviously very spring-like and very summery. So we're going to manifest what we want, and that is summer. So I'm going to use this Fascinating Eye Kohl, and I'm just going to come in to my eyelid and just gently add a little bit of this. Now, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I want my pink to really pop. So I'm just painting this on using the brush, and then I'm going to come in and just use my finger to kind of move it around and blend it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's really just a way to intensify some pink. So if you have a darker skin tone, it's not a bad idea to do this if you want the product to really pop. It is really the best way to make any color that's pastelish or bright even brighter. This is a great trick too if you're trying to do something that's a bit more neon. You have the ability to really intensify whatever color you're putting on. So you can see how it's almost like chalky, and then I'm going to use my finger and just tap it and kind of melt it in. Because pencils are waxy, you know, they tend to move pretty easily with the heat of your finger. And that's another reason why I like to use my finger for this kind of thing. I am definitely a brush girl. I love my tools. I'm a tool collector, but sometimes your finger is the right tool. So I'm going to go in under my eye here and do the same thing, following my natural lash line. And I'm just using the pencil as the tool. There we go. So again, just sort of lightly blending. Okay. So as you can see, what's interesting about this exercise is that it automatically makes my eyelids pop. So this is also a really good trick if you just want your eyelids to pop out a little bit more, or you want them to sort of come forward, you want to lighten them. And because white is obviously lighter than my natural skin tone, you're still seeing sort of a difference between, it's not that far off, but you're seeing a difference between the eye kohl and my skin. And it's just giving like a little bit of intensity. All right. So I am going to start with this really beautiful shade called In Living Pink. I'm going to show you what this looks like. It's kind of a pink with a little bit of gold shimmer. And I find that this is such a beautiful way to wear pink that doesn't feel so bubblegummy. I know sometimes pink, you know, she's too pure to be pink, or there's a lot of, I think we talked about red a few weeks ago, and I think pink is also one of those colors that has a lot of emotion tied to it. I think that people feel like it's too girly or it's a gender-based color, but it really isn't. It's just soft and feminine, and it feels like spring. And so I'm using the 239 brush, one of my favorites. We talked about this brush last week when we went over brush mechanics. It's like a fingerprint or fingertip. And I'm just going to come in. First, I like to come in with the brush upside down and press it into my lash line. And then I flip the brush over and really press that color in to my eyelid. And just in a few easy, simple steps, this particular color, In Living Pink, is a pink that has a little tiny bit of gold reflex in it. So it's very wearable on all skin tones. I mean, honestly, on a medium skin tone, it is just unbelievably beautiful, very finished looking. And again, this is In Living Pink with the 239 brush. Michelle, I'm sorry I'm working you so hard, but thank you so much for doing this. So I come in with the brush upside down and press that into my lash line. That ensures that I get, that I get a really nice full color payoff at my lash line. Because when I put mascara on, this is the cool thing. When you have a light lid and you have mascara, you end up with your black eyelashes really pop against that light background. Love you too, girl. All right. Okay, I don't know, man. I don't know if nobody's on right now, but you guys are not asking very many questions. Or is Michelle just so good at what's going on here? Michelle is so excellent at moderating. There isn't time to ask questions. Okay. So here we go. I love this. So pretty. I don't wear pink very often. I tend to do much cooler tones. I wear lots of, greens and blues and purples and things like that. But it is nice to wear these sort of neutrals and just give you like the softer side of things. I had a friend who was like, I definitely want to see. Thanks, Tiffany, and thanks, Michelle. I love that. Okay, so here's the pink. And you can see I'm not doing anything too crazy with the application, although we could. But I feel like I want to keep it pretty and wearable for everybody. So I'm going to go in now with a 224 brush, and you'll notice that this brush has a much longer flower tip. We talked about this again last week in the brush mechanics, but you'll notice that this brush is much shorter, the 239, and then the 224 has got this long flower tip. And so that makes it really good for blending and softer placement of color. And so when we work in the crease of our eye, I'm going to use this color called, now, I don't know if it's rose before brose or rose before bros or rose before bros. I don't, maybe it's just rose before bros. But it's a beautiful mid-toned pinky tone, and it's a newer shade for us. And I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. Now you'll see how much product is on there. So you want to be careful when you go into your crease. I already have my foundation on, and although I love this brush and it gives me a lot of control, that's a lot of fallout potentially. So what you always want to do is either tap your brush on your hand to get that excess product out, or tap it on your little eyeshadow pan, what have you. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to start kind of here in the outer part of my eye to give myself a little dimension and definition. And then I'm going to work it out. So I'm going to pull my eye out here. It sounds gross. I don't mean literally. And I'm going to draw kind of a diagonal line from the inner part of my eyebrow, which is here. And I'm just going to work this color back and forth. Now, I get a lot of questions about hooded eyelids. I don't have one yet. I feel like it's coming. But right now, I still have a little bit of dimension happening between my brow bone and my lid. Obviously, the crease of the eye is this part here where your eye naturally folds. But, oh, you're welcome, Carol. Thanks for being here. But you'll notice that I am kind of intensifying the shadow that happens here naturally under my brow with this pink in rose before bros. And then I'm kind of drawing almost like a diagonal line. You can see it's sort of at an angle, and it's coming down. And then as I pull it out, I can come back under my eye. So I'm going to take the excess, whatever's left on this brush, I'm going to dip it back into, this is again in Living Pink. And I'm just going to kind of fill in this gap here. So this is just going to open my eye up a little bit more. If you guys if you've studied Marilyn Monroe's eye at all, she did that a lot. They used to create a more like elongated and dreamier eye. Her makeup artist really worked in here to deepen that shadow. All right, same thing on the other eye. We don't have to belabor the point, but you can start in here if you're feeling confident. You can start in here and then start to work the color out. So what's interesting is that when you watch a lot of tutorials, oftentimes everything is kept kind of out here, right? Everything's sort of in a C shape in the outer corner of the eye, which is a beautiful way to apply product. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a difference of how it makes your eye look. So I like to elongate my eye. I like to make it look a little bit more drawn out or pulled out or bigger. So I'm using my brush to really pull this color out. And by creating that shadow in here, it gives me more of a linear look to my eye. Okay, so I call this more of an editorial crease or runway crease, if you will. This is a trick we do a lot backstage, usually with a taupey color or a brown when we're sculpting the eye, because it really helps to give a shape there. When you do it in brown or taupe or something like that, it really makes the eye look shadowed and sculpted. So again, I'm using the brush just softly blending that out, still using that 224. Now I'm going to go back in with my in living pink, and just sort of fill in that gap right there. Just want to look in my mirror. It's really interesting to use my camera as a mirror. It's a bit weird, but okay. So just for a tonality change, I am obsessed with this color. It's called Expensive Pink. I only have it in a palette. I love this color. We could technically use the Rose Before Bros underneath my eye, but I'm going to just play around a little bit and do kind of some fun things. So we already did the white pencil, but now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to intensify that white pencil a little bit. Just going to grab my mirror 1 second. Here it is. So I'm going to use the Fascinating Eye Kohl, and I'm just going to come in and just intensify that. See how intense that is? I don't want it to stay like that, obviously, but I want you guys to be able to see how much product I actually used. So it's almost like I used white out there. And now I'm going to use a small brush. This is a 221 brush. And I am just going to softly melt and blend that. Sorry, I have a... Okay, there we go. Something in my eye. All right. So I still want to see it. You can see how it's just like more of a halo of it now as opposed to that really intense white. And again, going in on the other side, what we do to one eye, we do to the other. It's very similar to gym class around here. So you can see from not blended to blended what that difference should look like, okay? What this does is it just is going to give my inner corner highlight a bit more of a pop. And, you know, we could really play around here. I mean, if you wanted to see something really bright in there, do you want to see something bright? Oh, you want it to be on Instagram, Victor? I'm sorry. What do you think? Should we do a really bright pink in there, or should we just do what I planned, which is Expensive Pink? Do we want to keep it soft, or do we want to make it a little bit more poppy? I'm waiting for you all. And I know, Victor, we are happy you're here, and thank you for being, yes, bright. Victor says yes, bright. Okay, so because of that, I was going to use my Pink Shock, but I'm going to actually use my blush. This is called Bubbles Please. So Bubbles Please is a blush. It's a mineralized blush, and it has a beautiful sheen to it. And I'm going to go ahead right back with that 221 brush and just pick up a little bit of this Bubbles Please. And because we have that white there, it's really going to pick up the color. So I'm going to come in and start to place this on here. You can see it gives it almost like a neon-y floral pink kind of look. I love playing with one tone or one chroma or one shade and using it in all different kinds of intensities. So now you can see that it just gives that really beautiful pop right in the inner corner. And this is a really fun way to wear color. You know, sometimes people don't want to wear color all over their entire lid. They're not into colored eyeliners, but doing it in the inner corner of the eye is a really fun way to just add a pop. And, you know, I'm a little bit of an 80s connoisseur. I grew up in the 80s, and so I might do this on the, you know, now that I'm looking at this, here's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to come in with that Fascinating Eye Kohl again. And I'm going to do a little bit here on the outer corner of my eye. And we're going to do a little bit of an encapsulation here. So again, just creating these like outer corner white maps, if you will, or outlines. And then I'm going to go right back in with that Bubbles Please. And I am going to add the Bubbles Please right over top. And one of the things, the reason why I love using pencils so much. Oh, hi, she's pretty. Is because it really gives you the ability to map out the shape that you want and change the shape before you commit with powder. Because powder, sets things, right? It's the one that makes things wear and stay on longer. And so when you use thin layers like this, I feel like I get a lot more wearability and a lot more dimension, because in the areas where the white is, it's going to be more intense than the outer edges where I'm softly blending. So we're just going to, I know this is right up your alley, Michelle, because you love a halo eye. Michelle has the biggest, most beautiful blue eyes. And so this kind of look really looks beautiful on her. Okay. So what do you guys think about this? I'm not mad at her. I like her. All right. So to balance it off, I'm going to go in now back with my In Living Pink. I don't think we're going to use expensive pink now. See, this is what happens when you do makeup. You can't be so tied to things because sometimes things evolve right in front of your eyes. So I'm going to, all puns intended. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up In Living Pink with my 239 brush. And I'm going to come right under in that middle part and just connect those bright pink spots. But when you look at these two colors, I don't know if you guys can see this, but see how different they are? So this just gives us that like bridge in between. All right. And I like to use my eyelashes as a guide to see how far I can bring color down. So because my eyelashes are fairly decent, I have the ability to bring product down a little bit lower than maybe feels totally comfortable all the time to everyone, but that's okay. You know, there is no hard rules here. You can just play around. If you don't like something, here's a great tip. Take your foundation brush that you've used to apply your foundation, and then you can just clean edges. You could also load this brush up with Studio Fix, and you get the same thing. You just clean up your edges and shape it however you want. So I'm going to go back in now with Rose Before Bros with my 224 brush, and I'm just going to intensify out here a little bit. Pull this out some, really elongate those eyes, give it a little bit of a punky kind of pink feel. I think that's the cool thing about using a soft color is that it gives you the ability to make it a little bit edgier. It's sort of like having like a really conservative haircut, but it's a cool color. That's sort of how my hair works. You know, it's like I have a normal haircut, but I have a really bright color of hair. So yeah, I'm going to go back in just a little bit. Now I'm like being a little bit obsessive about this bright pink. Okay. All right. When I'm looking at my face right now, I have so much color on my eye. And one of the things, obviously, moving forward in our worlds, we probably will have to wear more masks. So it's okay to pay attention to your eyes. I'm going to go in right now with my contour and sculpting palette, the Studio Fix Contour and Sculpt palette. And I'm going to come in and start to add a little bit of warmth to my face because I'm feeling really pale with this bright eye. And I want to give myself a little bit of color. So I'm sculpting here first. A lot of people will come in sort of a 3 format here. I have a very small forehead, as you can tell. So I can't do a lot of contouring on my forehead, but I can bring it a little bit into the temple, a little bit onto the jaw. And a good tip, again, I talk about this a lot, but if you haven't heard it before, if you take your finger and you stick it right in front of the tragus of your ear, which is right here, this is a good place to start your application. And then you want to end it about 2 fingers width away from your lips. So some people like to use their brush as a guide, whatever feels good to you. And I'm using the 168 brush. I'm sorry I didn't say that. Michelle probably already knew. This is just a special edition handle. So it's definitely the 168. Okay. And then I'm just going to take a little bit on my jawline. I feel like every time I do this, I'm gaining more weight. I don't know what this quarantine is doing to me, but I'm eating a lot of snacks, I guess. So all hail the contour. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of blush. Now I'm going to go in. This brush I recently rediscovered. This is the 139 brush. It's very fluffy. It's dual fibered. And I'm going to come in with my Bubbles Please and just add a little bit right here on the apple, just above the apple, actually. And I'm just going to sort of dance. I'm going to do my little Bob Ross and paint a little happy blush right here. It's really happy. Real pretty. Okay. It feels a little, it's so funny. This makeup feels very 90s. But I did learn how to do makeup in the 90s professionally. So even though I've been wearing makeup since the 70s, that hurt my feelings to say out loud to all of you, just so you know. Okay, let's add a little bit of mascara because that will really give us a framing of the face. This is my all-time favorite, must-have. If you haven't tried it, I can't imagine why, because it is a genius product. It has this little teeny tiny brush. This is called MAC Extended Play and Giga Black Lash. Giga Black Lash, yes, geez. And what I love about this product is that it is waterproof, but warm water washable. And so when you wear glasses, or if you tear up, or if you just want your mascara to stay in place all day, this is what you need. The little brush really allows you to get into all the tiny lash hairs and separate them. And we curled my lashes early on, so I'm not going to recurl them, but I will say this about curling lashes. It's sort of like a bra. It lifts and separates, right? So it really helps to open up the eye. It gives you an instant sort of lift. And it's a really great way to create like just a little bit of more flirtation with your eye makeup. So as you can see, because I have lightness on my lid and on my underneath my eye, you can really see my lashes pop. And I always do my bottom lashes first because when you do your bottom lashes, you'll look up. Well, if my lashes were full of mascara and I looked up, I'm going to get little bobbles all over the place where I just put all these pink eyeshadow. So I am going to come in now that I've done my bottom lashes and start my top lashes. And here's the beauty about mascara, and this one particularly. At the end of the night, it's so important you take your mascara off. And what's so beautiful about this product is all I need to do is use warm water and it releases all of the product from the lash, even though it is waterproof. It is the craziest thing ever. So see how much different that looks with mascara? I feel like I need a little bit more though. So I'm just going to come in and keep adding. It will build. If you're somebody who has a shorter lash and you want more intensity into your lashes, I would use In Extreme Dimension. That is a really powerful mascara for a shorter lash, especially if you want instant like false lash look. You could use our Lash Maximizer. That's a really beautiful product too. It helps to, you put it on a clean lash and it adds like a body to your eyelashes. And then once it dries, you can go in with your mascara and it really intensifies the lashes. It's a pretty magnificent product. A lot of people are using it these days to do like a laminated eyebrow, to really flatten their eyebrows onto their face, which is a cool look, you know? All right. So as you can see, adding the mascara, it's just like the magic wand of makeup, right? I mean, this is just a beautiful product. And yes, Ricky, I'm sure they already answered this, but what's happening now is because I'm doing this what am I doing this on? YouTube. Hi everyone. Welcome to YouTube. It actually lives on my channel forever. So you can come back and watch it as many times as you want to. All right, let's quickly fill in my eyebrows. I'm going to use a really soft, I do not want my eyebrows to take away from the pink. So I'm going to use a really soft kind of ashy tone on my brows, a color called Omega. Omega has been around for a really long time. I have some white hairs in my eyebrows. I am of a certain age, and so that happens in life, which is one of those things. So I also love to use powder in my brows just because it's how I learned. So I tend to use it a lot. I use pencils sometimes. I use the Big Brow Fiber Boost. But when I want to just groom my eyebrow and when I want it to just look kind of stained and finished, I will use powder and this 266 brush. And as you can see, the 266 brush has this beautiful, very tight angle. So it's great for drawing lines. Omega is a very soft brown, kind of like an ashy brown. So what I'm going to do is start at the base of my brow. And I'm just going to follow the natural shape here. Now, if you wanted more intensity in the tail, You can use a little Fix Plus, which I thought I had out here, but perhaps I do not. So I will just use, I just have a little bit of atomized water. I'm just going to put a little bit of that on my brush. Sorry, micellar water, not atomized water. A little micellar water. And you can see that I'm going to just draw my tail here. And it's just going to be, there we go. Just extend her a little bit. Here's the funny thing. This width right here used to be my entire eyebrow in the 90s. Can you believe it? I got very lucky that my eyebrows came back. I used to joke that I stood in line twice for hair whenever we were, being doled out our body parts, our hair color, our eye color, our hair texture. I obviously got messed up and stood in the hairline twice because Lord knows I have a lot of it. All right. So I'm going to come into this eyebrow as well and see, you can already see the difference, how that frames my eye, how it helps with the elongation. It just makes it make more sense, but without overpowering the eyeshadow. And I think that's why I like to do brows at the end. I know a lot of people love to do them first. And I think in the 90s, I used to do them first because it gave me a lot of anxiety and I would get nervous because everyone expected us to do these super perfect eyebrows. But now, sometimes they just need to be a little softer. My brush is still a little bit damp, so I don't really need to go back in with the micellar water. And there we go. Okay, so we're almost done. I am going to use this really beautiful color called Show Gold. I do love a lot of different highlighters, but this one has a beautiful kind of peachy look that breaks pink. And I just love to say that, it breaks pink. So I'm going to use 240S brush. I'm going to come into this beautiful extra dimension skin finish. What's really cool about these is that they are a baked mineral powder. So they're essentially made in a slurry. I'm just going to smile a little bit here and hopefully you can see. I don't know how well the light is doing it justice, but what's really cool about them is that they are made in a slurry of pigments with a water that's infused with a 77 mineral complex. And so they're baked on a terracotta tile in a factory in Italy. And then they're sent to us and they're just beautiful and shiny and gorgeous and versatile. And you can I'll do a little bit right here, just on that center spot, just for a little extra something. If you can see that. You can do a little bit on the bridge of your nose. I'm going to highlight my Cupid's bow also. I think that's a very important spot. And hey, if you want your lips to look bigger, highlight them. Put some gloss on them. That'll make them look bigger. So you can already see it just gave me an instant shape to my lip, which I love. All right. So what I'm going to talk about now is, it's not fun to have to wear a mask out, but sometimes life hands you lemons and you got to make fun lemonade products. So I'm going to use a little bit of our Prep and Prime lip. And this is just a specialty packaging from the Petal Power collection, but we have it in a black tube as well. It's the exact same product. And the thing that's so beautiful about this is it's great for feathering. It also, just like the 24-hour eye base does to my eyelid, it makes the lips all one texture, which just makes your application go on so much smoother. So I'm just going to let it sit for about 30 seconds. And while I do that, I'm going to talk to you about some different products. So what I'm probably going to end up using is this color. It's called Petal Punk, and it is a retro matte liquid metallic lipstick. So what's really cool about this is that some people, I don't love a matte look on myself. I like something that's got a bit of shimmer or a bit of sparkle to it. So that's what's beautiful about this. It's a long wearing product. If you wear a mask and you go into the park or whatever, but you still want your lips to look good, this is a wonderful product to use that's not going to come off. Now, if you're just going to do a Zoom call or a house party call, I think Skew is a beautiful pink. I'm actually going to put some on just to show you because I love this color so much. I want to try to do 2 lip colors for you. So this is Skew lipstick. And the beauty of Skew is it's kind of a pinky coral, but it has an iridescence to it. And it's just light and pretty, and it just finishes the look, again, without fighting with what we have going on in the eyes. I really want the eyes to be the focal piece of this makeup. And as I'm looking at it, I'm noticing I can even go a little bit more intense with the Bubbles Please. So I'm going to come in here one more time and just add one more layer. And that's one of the things I love about, going light-handed and then being able to add more. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm working on a client or if I'm working on a model, even backstage. It's always easier to add more than it is to take away. So just remember that as you're working. You can always come back and zhuzh and add and, play around with it a little bit. I'm really glad we all decided on this on my eye. I think it's really pretty. And I actually feel like I could do a little bit more blush. So I'm going to come in again with that 139 brush. I'm not doing anything new. I'm just zhuzhing in places where I feel like I can. I'm going to do a little bit of this right here on my forehead. I feel like that kind of lifts the eye a little bit. So you can notice I'm just using this fluffy brush and I'm pulling the color up just a little bit through my brow bone, onto my forehead. It just helps to lift everything. And if you get too much, don't worry. You take your foundation brush and you come in and you just tap it out and you just melt it all together. It just makes everything sort of melt onto the face and look like it's coming from within. Okay, so now that you've seen Skew, what I'm going to do is just quickly blot that off. And this is how much of a savage I am. I'm going to just blot it off on a piece of paper with doodles, because that's who I am. Look, see, I did this on another lip. Okay, on another live, I obviously blotted there. Okay, so I still have the Prep and Prime lip on, and you'll notice when the Prep and Prime lip is ready because it feels like it's hugging your lip a little bit. It's not uncomfortable by any means, but it definitely, when you put your lips together, it feels like they're kind of tacky, which is great because you know that it's going to hold on to whatever you put over top. So I'm going to use Soar lip liner, and I like to just squeeze my tip. I forgot my Kleenexes, so I'm just going to use my finger, but you can hopefully see that I squeeze this tip, and it looks almost like one of those carpenter pencils maybe your dad had in a garage somewhere. And what I'm going to do now is come in and just line my lip a little bit. Now, if you've got a really good edge on your lip, you probably don't need to do this with the Retro Matte Metallic. But, I need a little bit of help. So I mean that in many ways. So I'm going to come in and just gently line. You noticed I did my Cupid's bow first. So that gives me like a little bit of a guide. And then I'm going to start at the corner and just in short, quick, concise strokes, join the corner to the top of the Cupid's bow. And I did the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to do a little bit of a line here on my bottom lip. And then I'm going to connect. I'm going to go from the corner. I'm going to do the opposite on the bottom lip. I'm going to go from the corner into the center and from the corner into the center. And having the pencil like this really helps to give you more control of your drawing. So I just find that it's easier than a point. There's a reason why the carpenters know about these pencils, I guess. And, when you're doing your lips, just take a second and look at yourself. Step back for a second and look at the symmetry. You can even use like a Q-tip or use your lip pencil just to see if it's balanced. Lips are hard, So for me, it's worth it time, and people just want to instantly be able to do things. I'm good at makeup because I practice makeup daily. And so that really makes a big difference in how you approach it. So now I'm going in with the Petal Punk and I'm filling in. I love the applicator of this. It has a lot of precision. Again, like I said, if you don't need a lip liner, don't use one. You don't need to. But the beauty of this product is that it has a little bit of a metallic shine. So it doesn't look so flat on the lip. And it also wears like a long wearing lipstick. So you don't have to worry about, I just need to plug in my computer. Hold on one second. I don't want us to die in the middle of this. There we go. So once it dries, it's not going anywhere. So if you are someone who wants to wear a mask or you need that product to be long wearing. You want to put it on in the morning and not think about it anymore. Because for me, pro long wear is a lifestyle. I don't spend a lot of time touching up my makeup. Okay, so I'm just coming back in with a little bit more of my contour. I don't even know where I put my palette. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do one last thing, which is add a little tiny bit of Studio Fix. If you guys have been on my Instagram today, you'll notice that my team has done an incredible job talking about how amazing this product is, because it is. It is just a flawless product. And now I'm using the two. Oh, yeah. Let me get my readers on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm normally wearing glasses. I have my contacts in. I still can't read. 288. There we go. So the 288 brush is a dual fiber brush, which just gives it a little bit less payoff of product. I want it to be kind of like air spun. I don't know if you guys remember air spun powder, but I feel like the dual fiber brushes give that effect. It just makes it look kind of flawless and airbrushed. And then you can also use it and you can just like change the eye shape a little bit if you want to. See, like I see this here, I feel like it needs to be pulled out a little bit more. I'm busy talking and running my mouth, and sometimes you miss stuff. So I'm going to go back in with my rose before bros, and I'm just going to extend this out a little bit. Yeah, there it is. Ooh, hey, let's take this up a notch. Here we go. I'll do the same thing on the other eye. What we do on one eye, we must do on the other. Oh, hey, okay. All right, she's coming together here, and I'm almost done. We're at 45 minutes, and I think I'm going to wrap this makeup up. Just so you know, we will be doing this again next week, except I am going to be on Instagram, so I hope to see you there, Victor. And thank you, Twana. I really appreciate it. And Carol and my parents, thank you. Thank you so much. So, at the end of the day, makeup should be fun and playful. Next week, I will be doing dramatic eyes and dewy skin. So if these eyes aren't dramatic enough for you, wait till next week. I'm going to take my hair down, give her a little shake, give Curly Sue some life. And I got to tell you another little hack really quick is that if you are a curly head like me, Fix Plus is really your best friend if you want to snap back those curls. She really helps to hydrate and make the hair curly, and that is a tip that I learned from my friend Jane McKay, who's amazing. I'm just going to do a little bit more highlight. And I'm going to call this a day. See, the other thing that's beautiful, look at this. I can just come in and go right over top of that. It doesn't come off on my brush because it's dried already. And it just adds one more layer of dimension, makes the lip look a little fuller. Oh, okay. That's okay, Victor. It's fine. I hear you. It's hard to keep track, and I know I was advertising it on my Instagram. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I really enjoyed having you, and I'm glad we got through it without any major technical difficulties. I hope you enjoyed this look as much as I did. Thank you, Victor. I really appreciate you being here, and I wish you all a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Happy Hump Day, and I'll see you next week.